Hello, a very warm welcome to everyone. Today, we are very fortunate to have Andrew Soong, a human behavioral analysis consultant, with us to share something very interesting for all parents out there. Andrew, wow, that's quite a mouthful, your title. Can you kindly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your background, please?
Sure. Uh, about more than 30 years I've been with corporate. In the past, I've been with a US multinational, looking after the region of Asia Pacific, and I had diverse teams working for me. And with that, obviously, there was a lot of diversification in terms of diverse cultures and different upbringings, etc. So as I was in corporate, I was also trained as a leader. And when I came out from corporate sometime 5 years ago, I joined the John Maxwell team. And John Maxwell, if you're not familiar with him, he's actually the number one highest paid non-celebrity speaker. All right, so he's very good with leadership, communication, etc. And recently, he came up with this program for children, which I felt was excellent. It was a program that he has developed especially for children between ages of 8 to 12 to help parents understand a bit more about them and how the parents can develop strategies to make and help their children thrive in their strength zone, giftedness, and to be successful in future. And so when I looked at this program, I said, hey, that's very interesting because my training courses in leadership for the corporate were actually very applicable for parenting. Because you would agree, right? Parents are leaders of your family. And so I said, hey, why don't I use this to help some of our parents understand their child better, especially during this time of COVID. So that's the reason why I want to share this with you and with everybody who's a parent with children, young children especially.
Yeah, that's so true, right? And I can totally relate to this, right? I have three boys, and it's tough, right? It's a kind of try and error, and very stressful at home sometimes, especially during the MCO when we have to work from home and conduct online classes and help them with the schoolwork, right? Of course, no parents want their children to fail, and for the matter, we parents always blame ourselves, for if anything goes wrong, right? For not bringing up our children well, right? For example, how can knowing our children's behavioral styles help us parents to get focused and be effective in handling and guiding our children? Yeah.
Okay. First and foremost, I just want to tell you, Edwin, don't blame yourself. All right, don't feel bad about the way you have brought the children up and they're not as good as they are right now. But don't worry. I have the solution for you. When I was a young father like you, around your age, I have two sons, right? Today they are already adults. I too made my mistakes. Many mistakes. But fortunately, my two sons grew up to be okay today. Okay. But if I only had this program, I would probably bring them up in a different way. They would probably be even more successful than they are today. Okay. Not so much in terms of being in positions, etc., but maybe in terms of values, the way they would interact with people would be even better. So, like all parents, we have this thing known as good intent. It's inbuilt in you, it's inbuilt in all parents. We always want our children to be the best for us, better than us actually. However, there are certain things that we don't know what we don't know. And the issues that we are having with most of the kids are the way we communicate to them. Now, I will be drawing parallels between leadership in the office versus leadership at home. We want our children to be the best because we want to help shape them, mold them, and sometimes we want to change the way they think. And it's the same as in the office, which we call change management, right? In the office, when we want to roll change management, we have to convince the staff that this is good for them. And by doing that is to help them understand why we want to do it and motivate them, etc. But for some reason, parents, when they go home, they forget this.
Yeah.
We tend to use a very top-down approach with our children. And that is basically an Asian thing. My father did that to me. I'm not sure about your dad, but that was how my father brought me up, top-down. And that was how I brought my sons up, top-down. Just do it. No more questions asked, right? But that is not necessarily the best way all the time. By doing it that way, we are actually commanding them to do things. We have not actually formed a relationship with them to buy in. So it's exactly like in the corporate. You want to do a change, you have to get buy-in. So we need to get buy-in from the children as well, so that they are willing to follow what we want them to do. You see? So similarly, this behavioral style analysis is important because what we're doing today, we are communicating with our children, not in their behavioral language. So as a result, some children are of the nature that when you speak to them, they are not very receptive to loud voice, commanding voice, shouting style, or the mannerism that we come across on top down is like, just do it. The tone voice. So to them, they perceive it as anger. And they also perceive fear. So when someone is fearful of a leader who is a parent, what do you expect the child to do? They'll follow, but not willingly. Some may even not follow at all. So it's not the right approach that we want our children to follow our instructions. We want them to do it willingly, happily, willingly, right? And the only way to do it is to communicate to them in such a way that we motivate them to do it versus forcing them to do it. There's a big difference, right? So you just imagine in your office, you've got staff. You try doing it my way or no way, what will happen? They will resign on you, right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, they will resign, yeah.
Okay. But, sorry, Edwin, go ahead.
So what you're saying is, if we know the behavioral style of our children, we can easily create an environment that will make them successful or more successful, right? See, my child is unable to concentrate on his studies for more than for a extended period of time, right? He gets distracted, restless after about 15 to 20 minutes, right, and loses focus, right? Of course, when he acts up, then normally we will reprimand him, why you're not doing your work, right? And then the whole situation would descend into chaos. Become very stressful, isn't it, right?
Exactly.
So what is another way? What can we do to help him to focus on his studies, for example?
Okay. In this behavioral analysis, there are 4 types, and children fall into one of them, and some of them will have 1 or 2 dominant traits. Same with adults. All of us have 4, of which 1 or 2 are dominant traits for us, right? When we understand the dominant trait of a child, then we can understand how that child likes to be communicated, and what does the child react or behave in certain ways, right? So your earlier question about how can we help them to be successful is a very good question. When we do this behavioral style analysis, we will know the child's strengths and giftedness, which is very important. Like all things, when we are working, we always want to work in our strength zone. Only then will we do well. So it's important for the children as well that they must be doing something they like in their strength zone. So that we as parents, if we understand that, we will then be able to guide them and maybe think of strategies to help them thrive in that area so that eventually they become more successful. Not just only in work, but also in life. Okay, we also want to teach them values. In order for us to teach them the values, we must teach it to them in a way that they are receptive to it. Because at the end of the day, you want to have Make sure that your child is a person of character, integrity, etc., etc. Besides only the working side, these two must be together. And so, taking your son for example, you mentioned that he cannot stay unfocused for a long time. Okay, this is one of the trait of one of the behavioral style of a children, and that is they have a very short attention span, probably maximum 15-20 minutes, and then they will become restless. And you rightfully say, because you don't know what you don't know, you think
Yes.
they are they're misbehaving, they're not paying attention, they don't want to focus on studying, right? And so you as a parent, because you are insisting that they must stay there for 1 hour, you get angry, you get upset, and you scold the child. And then, like you said, everything spirals down. But if we understand why the child is behaving that way, we would have said, okay, let's take a break. After about 15-20 minutes or whatever time that you see the child getting fidgety, that's the limit already. So you say, okay, just take a break, go off for a while, but have an agreement with the child that, hey, you must come back. You cannot just go and play again and forget about it, your studies. No, cannot. Just let you go to take a break so that you can sort of reset and then you come back again, right? So if we understand the child, which is probably what your son is, that allow him to take a break, 5 minutes, then come back again. Focus for the next 15-20 minutes. When he starts getting fidgety, again, another short break, come back again, etc. So it's better for them to do it in blocks of 15-20 minutes where they can really focus versus forcing them to sit for an hour. Because after 20 minutes or so, they're physically there, but they're no longer concentrating. So what's the point, right? Make sure I let them go and come back. Now, that is of one behavioral style, and your son is probably there. There are other behavioral styles that would be more than happy to sit there for 1-2 hours to study because they are of a very conscientious style. They want to make sure that they get it right. So if we don't understand the different styles of our children, we as parents will interpret or misinterpret it as they are being naughty.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Andrew, for sharing that with us. It's very enlightening. The way you put it, it all seems so simple, right? And I'm wondering why we've been struggling for so long, right? Even some of my close friends who have older teenage children complain that their relationship with their children seems to be drifting apart, right? And actually they don't, they say that they don't really understand why these are happening or why this is happening, right? They can't seem to communicate with their older kids or older children. So how do you think we can all learn about this, wonderful program for families?
Yeah. This issue about relationship drifting is very serious. I want to share with you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now for the family. The family nucleus is very important. Everything starts with the family nucleus, right? If the family nucleus is strong, with a strong bond, strong relationship, society benefits. If they start to break up, society is affected because the children will move away from the parents and go elsewhere. If they have problems, they will go elsewhere to get answers from, which is in a way not very good. You and I are parents. We always want to be the one that the child comes back to us with a problem. We can give them sound advice because our advice is always for the benefit of the child, correct? If the child doesn't want to come back to the parents or talk to the parents, where else can they go? To their friends. If their friends are of good character, okay, not too bad. Church friends or friends that are really good. What if they happen to take advice from another set of friends that are not really of good character? That actually causes more problems for us as parents because then they may mix with the wrong company. It takes a very long time and difficult process to bring them back. So the issue about teenage relationship moving away it has got to do with the way we as parents bring up our children when they were young. This is not something that happened overnight. It's a compound effect over time. When they were young, like I said, Asian parents like to take a top-down approach. When you keep only using top-down, even when the child is a teenager, what do you think will happen? They will drift away from you. Who wants to come to spend time with you when you're always negative and scolding them or telling them things that are negative? You're not an encouraging father. Why should I spend time with you? Right? I mean, just spend time with my friends who accept me for who I am. No questions asked, no judgment. But whenever I come to you as my father, when I open my mouth only, I get a scolding or a reprimand or a, so where's the joy?
Yeah.
Where's the joy? Right? You have staff. If your staff is working with you and you are a domineering boss, every day it's like micromanaging your staff. One day they will leave you. They can, because they can give you a resignation letter.
Yeah.
Fortunately, our children cannot resign on us.
Yeah.
What will they do? When they reach teenage years, they will drift further and further. And one fine day we will lose them. And when they become adults, I mean, the one thing that parents really want is, at the end of the day, my children to be able to have the values that I want to teach them and still have a relationship with me, right? After all these years, 20 years, you bring them up and they say, bye-bye, Dad, I don't talk to you. Well, how will you feel? That's not how a family should be.
Yes.
Should be. Your 3 sons should be there with you together, with their family, their children, and one big happy family. Not one son here, another son there. Then we have failed as a parent.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah. So this program is going to be able to help you plus many other parents understand their children better, whether they are young or teenagers. It doesn't matter. It's the same program. But once we understand their behavioral style, we can then take action, think of strategies, how we can best support them in their strength zone, in their giftedness, and how can we communicate with them better in their behavioral language. In other words, a language that will motivate them versus demotivating them. And also for teenagers who have already sort of like drifted away, we can use that also to mend that bridge of relationship and then bring them back together again and start again anew. But if the parents don't know what they don't know, they cannot take the right strategies.
That's right.
So this is important. The knowledge that I'm going to share with you at the end of the day is very valuable, more valuable than anything that you can have ever bought. That's precious. This is really precious for you.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. What a wonderful idea, right? We can all spend on things like family dinners, Christmas presents, holidays, right? I think this is a very, very small investment to make, for a lifetime, right? Right. So this is really a great opportunity for us to start planting the seeds for our own families.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Thank you, Andrew, for the chat we had today. I'll definitely be at your webinar. Right?
Yeah. But before that, I would like to share with you when the webinar is going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
What is important, the question I always ask parents, are you prepared to invest in your child? Are you prepared to invest in your child the right way so that they will be successful? And many parents, yes, they will invest in their child. They send them for piano classes, ballet classes, violin classes, whatever classes are, but they're doing it not knowing if that is helping their child in their strength and giftedness. And they spend a lot of money. I mean, piano classes are not cheap. So are you prepared as a parent to invest in your child? For your child's future and your child's success, are you prepared to do that? Right? And also to invest in your child to have a wonderful relationship in the future with them. And give them the grounding so that they can then become better parents and bring their children up in the right way.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah.
That's my question for you. If your answer is yes, then I would like to invite you to come for the webinar that we're going to have in December. Dates are not confirmed, but definitely in December. Okay. At the webinar, I'm going to share with you this particular program that you as a parent can invest in your child and make sure that you are able to then guide your child with the right strategies to allow them to become successful in the future. Because we are going to work with actual data of your children. It's not guesswork, right?
That's wonderful.
Guesswork, yeah. So once you are able to know for sure the behavioral style of your child, you will be able to develop strategies together with me. I will be helping you. And what can you do to steer your child from young to become a successful adult in the future? If you're interested in that, wanting to make sure that happens for your next generation, come to the webinar, because it is time well spent, money well invested, better than anything else in this world.
That's an excellent idea. So any of us have any questions for Andrew, please do join us at the webinar. How much is the webinar actually, Andrew?
The webinar is actually free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The webinar is free because I want you to come and listen to what and how this program can help you and your children.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right. All right. It was a great talking to you today, Andrew. Yeah. We will catch up again. Yeah.
Thanks, Edwin. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.